Throughout the original era of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, various characters were depicted in installments relating to the chronological films of related content that were interconnected. These said films added depth and growth to the characters depicted in the features. Thor in particular had an interesting portrayal and evolution, but the speculative scenario is this: that time when Thor was fat in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Thor's appearances in Thor from 2011 on The Dark World were considered to be the starting points for his character and his development, as Chris Hemsworth arguably took time to grow into the particular part, and these features were also considered to be the weakest due to his inexperience as an actor at the particular time and adjusting to the needs and demands that Marvel Studios had for him. In the first film, he was banished from Asgard and sent to Earth. Thor's complex relationship to Loki was introduced and depicted in the film. In the second installment, Thor's mother Frigga died through circumstances and the relationship to Loki was expanded with. The reception to these two films were neutral to slightly negative by film critics and audiences. This was why the particular events or specific details relating to them were barely mentioned in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and only through passing dialogue from Thor or Loki were they still in technical canon to the remainder of the original Marvel Cinematic Universe. Events in Ragnarok were pivotal to the casual and serious audiences' based opinions or even attitudes towards sentiment with Thor, as what happened to this particular feature became the main focus for lore about Thor for the remainder of the original Marvel Cinematic Universe. Infinity War and Endgame actually had some of the most drastic depictions of events to happen with Thor, from an attempted extermination of the Asgardian people to the deaths of Loki and Heimdall. Even the blip from the films eliminated half of all life within the universe. All of this occurred because Thor didn't kill Thanos when he theoretically could have. Endgame's final details had Thor dealing with everything that had occurred to him. On the superb screenwriting even had acknowledgments for what had occurred within the first and second Thor films, all of such to compound the grief that Thor had to almost unbearable extents. Fat Thor was a term in and of itself for the particular time in Thor's depiction of the Marvel Cinematic Universe where he was depressed and even somewhat suicidal. This was confirmed through dialogue and actions by Thor, where he was hopeless and didn't want to do much of anything. And even if he wanted to do anything, it would be useless against Thanos. Thor didn't care of any of that, and wanted to do something, anything even to avenge his dishonor, even if it meant dying for no particular reason at all. As it was only through convincing by multiple Avengers did Thor decide to go with the plan to time travel and attempt to reverse what Thanos had implemented. From information now known, even after the Avengers had reversed what Thanos had done, Thor was still grief-stricken and haunted by all that had occurred to him in recent times. All of this was clearly intentional because originally the Russo brothers had planned for Fat Thor to potentially appear in a team-up based movie with the Guardians of the Galaxy, where he went through a path of redemption and came to accept or acknowledge the deaths of his family, his friends, and even his people. The said opinions on Fat Thor were mostly negative, as technically Thor was depressed on dealing with the grief and trauma, but casual audiences didn't want to see that or acknowledge such from Thor. The humorous Thor that was essentially introduced in Ragnarok was overwhelmingly preferred by said audiences. On the serious yet brooding Fat Thor wasn't desired at all. Opinions further harder that the reactions from the other Avengers to Thor regarding his situation wasn't encouraging at all. Rather, it was interpreted to be critical or even insultive, perhaps dismissive to Thor. Conflicting sources had the fat suit that Chris Hemsworth wore for Endgame to be gone sometime into the film, and for Thor to be fit and muscular once more. But Chris Hemsworth desired for the suit to remain for the entirety of the film, for realism or authenticity, on to show the sadness as well as anguish that Thor dealt with throughout Infinity War and Endgame. Due in part to the overwhelmingly negative impressions or feedback, the concept or depiction of Fat Thor was quickly regarded in Love and Thunder, as the entire era of Fat Thor remained being one of the most impressive yet divisive character portrayals out of any in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.